I think I'm live. I'm not sure you guys can hear me. It's pretty late here in Croatia. It's like 2 a.m. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. But it is 31 degrees or something like that. I'm not sure what it is right now, but like an hour ago it was 31 degrees. And um, there's mosquitoes, and I was not sleeping. So I thought I would hop on and just do a quick live stream. I haven't done one since I've gotten to Europe, so yeah, I thought I'd just pop on and see what's happening. There's nobody about, which I don't know with time zones and all. Maybe I get some friends from the US here, but I'm sure the European viewers won't be on at this hour. But yeah, I thought I'd just pop on and see if anybody wants to chat, have any questions. Otherwise, I'll probably just do some meditation, just sitting, because I was going to do that myself in any case. Hey, Erin, how's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. I was actually going to ask you the other day, how's it going? Because, yeah, I haven't heard from you. Nice to see you. Hope it's all good. Hey, Kwame. I have a lot of people have mentioned his work to me. I've heard a little bit about him, and I think his stuff's very good. I know it's got to do with the link between kind of emotional repression and emotional trauma and the nervous system and chronic pain. But I wouldn't. I haven't read any of his books or his work specifically, but I do know quite a few people who have mentioned that they found his work very helpful, and his methods and whatnot. So, yeah, I can't say anything specifically because I don't know much about his work, but I'm just basing it on what other people have told me, and it sounds, from what I've heard, that it aligns very much with what I talk about on this channel. So, yeah, I guess that's all I can really say. Okay, let me see if I can get the chat open here. Awesome, Erin. Yeah, looking forward to hearing how things are going for you. That's great, Kwame. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. I'm probably not. But oh, it's annoying on my phone. The messages disappear, so I've got to keep opening it up. Yeah, I've heard similar from a lot of people that his work is a game changer. So that's great to hear that it's been so helpful. Yeah, as I said, I don't know too much about it, but I mostly just have heard positive things about his books and his work. So yeah, that's everything I say is like if you find something, oh, that's my laptop. If you find something that works for you, a specific teacher, a book, a technique, a method that really works, absolutely like follow that. Until some methods are really important, or techniques or practices are really important for a while. So at the same time, always be willing to don't cling to. I'm not saying for this specifically, just a rule of thumb here, or a very helpful way to approach this is follow whatever resonates, and then always be honest with yourself and willing to see if you're kind of clinging onto something that's not so useful anymore. Because we often can want to keep on sticking to a certain method because it was helpful in the past, but maybe it's time to take something deeper at some point. but always trust your own, like, trust yourself. Never, if somebody says, "Oh, this person's an amazing teacher," and their stuff just doesn't resonate with you, then um, you know, uh, follow the work or the teachings or the techniques that do resonate with you. So that's what I would say is really most important here is just finding what works for you, and if it works for you, that's all that matters. That's all that it's about. Um, so yeah. Let's see if I can get the. Oh shit! I've got a little bit precariously balanced here. I don't have the chat open on my laptop at the moment because I have to set up a hotspot to get it open because I'm on a yacht actually at the moment. Pretty damn lucky. I'm visiting a friend. Let me see. Saw a message I missed there. As soon as I understood the basic concept, things changed within me. I am now weight training after having severe MECFS for 23 years. That is awesome. I'm so happy to hear that, Kwame. That's amazing that you made such a breakthrough after struggling for so long. And sometimes exactly that's what it's all about is understanding what's actually going on for you. That can shatter those beliefs that we're keeping us stuck, because that's really what really keeps us stuck, keeps people stuck, is beliefs about the condition, about symptoms, about what you can and can't do, what you should or shouldn't do. So when we find something that really allows us to see past those beliefs and kind of understand what's actually going on, and it might not be what we thought, it it can lead to incredibly dramatic change when those kind of beliefs fall. So that's awesome, and a great inspiring story for anybody else who's been stuck for a long time, to see that it's totally possible. So yeah, even after 23 years, that you just kind of finally needed to. Well, I mean, I can't speak for you, but just great for anybody else that's listening to resonate with that. The most successful teacher is Dan Buglio on the YouTube channel Pain Free You. Awesome. But yeah, anybody that wants to check that out, go have a look. I'm just going to try set up a hotspot here so I can read the chat on my laptop. Where the hell is hotspot? Oh shit. Okay, let me just. Sorry guys, I don't have the best setup here. kind of improvising at 2 a.m. here on a yacht. But why not? Okay, here we go. We're connected. Let's get the chat open, and then I will answer. I'll answer your guys' messages. Let's see. I think I saw something. vlogs. Your videos regarding acceptance have helped me a lot. It was a stumbling block. Even with DNRS and visualizations, it kept me more in a state of resistance and trying to ignore what was there. Um, yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's been so helpful. And yeah, I mean, that was the key for me as well. And that's kind of why that's what I talk about the most, because that's what is so difficult to really grasp, I suppose, that you really can accept any part of experience and you have the capacity to acknowledge and allow. And it's really key. So I'm glad to hear it's been helpful for you. And that really, that's why that's what I focus on, because especially with the brain retraining and stuff, I touch into this quite a bit, but often the brain retraining can serve a really important role to kind of initially help somebody get out of a place if they're really stuck. It did for me, but it kind of can lead to trying to control and fix and resist things that ultimately need to be felt if we're to take this recovery and self-healing, getting to the roots of what's causing you to suffer in whatever form that is. If we're to take that deeper and really get to the core of it, it really requires radical openness to whatever comes up. And it's really important that, and it's something we're not quite used to, I suppose. So that's what I really try to make clear here, is that it's okay, whatever is here, because that's often what's keeping us stuck the most, is fear and doubt, fear of really facing what feels so terrifying to face, or it's sometimes not even that obvious that there's fear. It really varies from person to person, but whatever it feels like we're avoiding or resisting, that's actually the key pointer of where to go. That's what's beautiful about anything that's feeling really uncomfortable to face, is a great sign. It's a great pointer of, well, let's explore this. What am I actually feeling here? What if I sit with this? And I don't need to do anything about it. That's key, because it's so easy to, without even realizing, it's so easy to try to fix. Okay, I'm feeling symptom, contraction, difficult emotion, uncomfortable feeling, uncomfortable thoughts, and I'm going to work through it to try and get rid of it. Is kind of the place we often find ourselves without even realizing it. And often all we need to do to start is notice that we are resisting and accept that. It just starts with kind of one form of acceptance, because otherwise we're kind of just pushing and pulling the whole time. And then once we're like, okay, I'm resisting, and I'm resisting, that's okay. So let's see. Okay, I've got the chat open on my laptop, so that's a better setup now. Okay, I think we're good. So yeah, what I want to say about like the brain retraining and the DNRS specifically for me, what was so helpful and transformative from it was it really taught me to kind of work through or kind of support myself, I suppose. So um, it kind of didn't give me all the tools I needed, but if I just feel back, because people do ask me about this quite a bit, so I do want to give my honest experience, and I do remember that it played a really important role in kind of developing that, working with the parts of myself. So I remember a lot of like the brain retraining techniques that I started with, and kind of it ultimately just evolved into what was working best for me. And then what eventually was working best for me, kind of combined with other things, was just massive amounts of self acceptance and love, and really working with the difficult things now from a place of gentleness and compassion, as opposed to how I had been doing it for so long, of trying to fight it and run from it and get rid of it, and then eventually had to go beyond that, because there was still quite a bit of control in that of the brain retraining technique, specifically of trying to make certain experiences right, and other retraining. Yeah, it's easy. Even I think the program is quite well set up, but it's very easy to get caught in that resistance pattern of negative thoughts are bad. And it's just such a powerful step to take when it's like, oh no, everything is okay. There's nothing I need to run from. But yeah, the method of kind of talking to the part of myself that it felt, so you could say to like the overreactive nervous system or the symptoms, to say, it's okay. You don't need to work so hard, you know. Like, because what's important is acknowledging, okay, you know, your body's reacting like this. It's giving you these responses, or this is just my present experience. You know, we don't even need to break it down so much. It's just, this is how I'm feeling, and I acknowledge that, you know. But at the same time, I know that, you know, I am okay, and but I don't need to kind of fight against any part of myself. So even the part of ourselves that we're trying to fix, the part of ourselves that we're saying, you know, no, I need my nervous system to relax. I need, you know, my body to stop giving me these symptoms. The best way to work with that is to give it love and acceptance as well. And it depends on where you're starting with this. It can, just for different people at different stages. If I look back to myself, when I started with this, I couldn't do this perfectly at all. But from where I was starting, just trying to do that was a massive step, because for so long I had kind of not had this compassion for any part of myself. I mean, obviously I did without realizing it, because there's always that compassion. That's why we're always looking for ways to make ourselves feel better. But we can really be very hard on ourselves, I suppose. And everything I was doing was coming from a place of really intense trying to get things right, I suppose. And that all had to do with kind of beliefs, and most importantly, it had to do with underlying emotional repression. That's the key, but often we don't really realize that. But the reason all these strong identities of I have to get this right, I have to, you know, like it was a strong sense of needing to get things perfectly, or not fail, or just I had to get it right, I suppose. Came from identities built on top of not wanting to feel the root emotional repression, which is difficult to face. So you got to start where you got to start, and the best way to start with this kind of work is through acceptance and compassion and kindness, and then inquiry as well, to kind of keep finding out what am I avoiding, what is this actually about, what belief is underlying here, what don't I want to feel, what don't I want to let go of, and then at the same time doing that from a place of it's okay. If you're digging in and you feel something that scares you, or that you're afraid to face, that's exactly where we want to be like, meet it with as much, just it's okay, you can be here, just feel into it, just kind of feel into the physicality of it, and then kind of speak to that. Often it'll be like a tension or a heaviness. Speak to that tension or heaviness with love, directly. For me, that was so powerful. That was what was so powerful. Played a massive role for me. Vlogs, yes, I felt like I was running from it for a long time. What you resist persists. Yeah, exactly. The perfection tendencies in DRS also was a problem. That feeling like if I don't do this good enough and multiple times a day, I won't get better. There was fear there. Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing, and a lot of us already kind of have those, that kind of background belief in place of, I have to get this right and do it in the right way. And if we kind of have a little bit of that tendency, then it's very easy to, something like that will play into it. So yeah, that's exactly what happened for me. But yeah, it really did serve its purpose. So that's why I always say the most important on the recovery journey is just be willing to see when something kind of is ready to be let go of, a practice or a technique or a process, something that was helpful for a while, but if we really sense in to, our own instinct or whatever, this isn't really serving me in the way I need it anymore, or maybe this is actually holding me back. That was really key for me, was there was a lot of things that were helpful to me, but there was just a part of me that knew now was time for me to move on from this, even though it helped me so much or whatever. It was the same, working with a therapist for a while was helpful when I was really stuck and I didn't have the tools yet myself. That was the key. It was like it was really early on, and I was pretty new to, it was just such a whole new thing for me, dealing with all of this. And I didn't have the tools yet, and that was really an important, I think, at that time, and that was important for where I was at. But eventually, it was like letting go of that, and realizing that it was time for me to put in place all my own tools. So it's the same with anything, I suppose. It's like this can work for a while, and then just trust that instinct of, okay, it's time. This isn't quite serving me. This is actually holding me back. There will be a part of you that knows. So, yeah. Yeah, and as you say, that that feeling of, if I don't do this good enough, like, just to dig into that, like, as you say, it's all about fear, really. It's fear of feeling what's underneath that, and if we want to get into some deeper work, it can often be helpful to ask, what if I am not good enough? For some people, this might be quite overwhelming to. They might be afraid to go there if we've never kind of done this kind of work before. But a little bit later on, it can be really show us what we're still afraid to feel. Because, again, all of those kind of identities are based on trying to keep something down that we don't want to feel. But once we allow that out, we kind of process that and integrate it, and it kind of is released, I suppose, and it's not there driving things anymore. It's not this underlying fear that was kind of driving things. It's kind of gone. But the only way through is to face it. So that's why, yeah, eventually we have to let go of these control techniques of managing what is a technique that is going to, make everything go the way I believe it needs to, and more just like what is coming up in each moment. Where am I afraid to go? What don't I want to feel? It's such a powerful way to do this work, because once you start to be willing to just acknowledge, okay, maybe this is really difficult, maybe this feels like too much a lot of the time, maybe I don't know, but I'm willing to feel what I'm afraid to feel. Once you make that commitment, things will really just start to unfold in the right way for anybody that does that. And it might not unfold the way you're expecting it to. So it might not mean you're suddenly going to have a lot of energy and all your symptoms are going to go away. That might be further down the road. Sometimes maybe there's even bigger flare-ups as we come into contact with deeper resistance patterns and deeper emotional traumas in the body and all of that. But being willing to come into contact with that, and in whatever way you can, being willing to integrate that and, give it some space, and really, dig into the things that are, that feel really scary to feel, and just say, okay, I'm willing, I know that I'm, I'm out of my comfort zone here, and this is really difficult and scary, and it's the unknown, but that's where the magic happens. So, yeah, once you make that commitment, that's probably the most important. One of the most important is, okay, I'm willing to get uncomfortable. I'm willing to go where I'm willing to kind of leave my tools to try and avoid, and instead be ruthlessly authentic with myself. That's why the most recent video I released was all about authenticity, because it really is key here. Is just you have to start with being honest with exactly how you're feeling, because otherwise we're always, and you won't get this perfectly at all. No, a lot of the time there'll be unconscious things happening of I think I want this, but actually deep down there's something else operating, and it can take a while for us to really become aware to ourselves what we actually what our hidden agendas are. And we might say, oh, this is all I really want. All I really want is for all of this to go away, but there's often something else that's kind of keeping us stuck where we are, because we don't want to face this. It's like, oh yeah, I just love for all my symptoms to go away, but at the same time I'm not willing to face this yet. So that's kind of what's keeping us stuck. So that's what just being honest with yourself. It's like, yeah, but I'm afraid to face this. But maybe I'll open the door. Just try. Just dip my toe in, and then see. What if I, kind of approach this in a whole new way that I never had before? Especially if we're somebody that's quite stuck. That's often going to be important. If we're stuck, often we'll be avoiding something that we may not be aware of. So then trying something along the lines of, okay, what if I allow myself to feel what I'm afraid to feel, and give it space? Yeah. and to just be aware of what the mind is saying, and that we don't have to believe that. It can take a while to kind of get that gap between what's coming up in the mind and the identification with that, because before we do any of this inner work, that is like Velcro together. The thought comes and we are the thought, and that's what's driving all of this. Is all of these thoughts come driven by fear, anxiety, all of the stuff we pick up from other people, and then we're unable to kind of just acknowledge a thought and let it dissolve, and that's where we start. So that's why I talk a lot about the acceptance kind of emotion work, because a lot of people are really in difficult places with the physical symptoms and all of that. So it's really the best way to deal with the uncomfortable stuff as it comes up. It's what's really important. But at the same time, kind of practice is more focused on insight. And that's kind of more the awakening stuff I talk about. To see that you're not your thoughts. So kind of meditation practices where you may be noting thoughts, or I talk about Angelo DeLullo's work a lot, and his book is filled with techniques and practices for these kind of these insights that allow the emotion and acceptance work to be a lot easier, because now you have that identification with the thoughts as they're arising is broken, and from there, you now have the capacity to see all of your resistance patterns that were keeping you stuck. When you're willing to, there's still a lot that will come up, often more that will come up than before. But yeah, that's a really important side of it as well, because when we are in that place still where we just identifying with thoughts as they come, and it's quite difficult because doubt will come up. Am I doing this right? Maybe I'm lost. Maybe am I getting worse? I'm having a relapse. Am I never going to get better? Am I going in the wrong direction? Am I doing the wrong kind of stuff? All of that kind of things that will come with the difficult territory. When we believe those doubts, that's what keeps people stuck, or what we struggle with, and that's why the insight of being able to see a thought as a thought is so important, because or helpful. You're never going to go wrong with doing the emotion work, that I shared, the acceptance work. It's important. It's important, and it's what you need. But then also, once we can kind of start to get that gap between thoughts, and then we can often have a shift where it really hammers in that, oh my gosh, that's all just thought. There's nothing I need to do about it. So then all those thoughts of, oh shit, maybe I'm going to have a big crash. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. Maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe I'm doing too little. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do that. Maybe I need to try this. Maybe I need to try that. Maybe I'm never going to recover. Maybe I'm going to get this. All of that doubt, which was so terrifying when we believed it, or was so difficult when it was all we knew. Once you can see that from this other perspective of that's just a thought arising and passing, just as a sound arises and passes in your experience. If you're sitting, noticing noises, the sound is constantly changing. There's a bird that chirps, and that sound arises and fades, and then there's the sound of a car passing, and then there's this, and then there's that, and you can eventually. Thoughts are very sticky, but you can eventually see them in a completely different way than we used to, where before that, it wasn't even there wasn't even any space between a thought. So when you can see that all those thoughts just come and go, you know, okay, am I ever going to recover? Is this good? You know, am I doing too much? I've had a really bad crash. Am I really stuck? Okay, that's a thought. You can acknowledge the thought, and then feel into, again, often there's always a bodily component of physical sensation experience, especially with those heavy thoughts. There will be, because they're kind of, that's what's going on in the body, and then the mind is all stirred up like that. So, but yeah, it's really important and super helpful to start to notice thoughts as thoughts. That's a thought. What's the next thought? Okay, you know, what is a thought? I don't know if this is a thought, is that is a thought. You know, noticing, okay, that's the next thought. That's the next thought. And noticing that anything arises is a thought. So what is noticing the thoughts? What is there, whether they're, regardless of what the content of the thought is, there's always an awareness of the thought, but you don't even need the thought awareness. So that kind of practice is really powerful for shifts in identity, away from being identified as this thought-bound, separate individual who needs to control and navigate and fix, into a much more spacious, place where it's clear that everything's actually okay, and you kind of just need to work through all of these, all of this emotional repression and these resistance patterns, but actually everything is okay, and it will be okay, and nothing's gone wrong. You just have to now face everything, and there can be some intense stuff, or will often be really intense once we really start to dig in. But just know, and this is a really important aspect of it, just know that you can trust your experience. Thoughts is all about doubt, and doubting everything, because that's what kind of feeds that mechanism of mind that needs to figure things out, that needs to kind of solve the problems. It needs doubt to, okay, well, you know, what I'm feeling right now isn't right, so I need to solve a problem here. But once you kind of meet your direct experience with trust of, I can trust what my body is feeling right now, whether it's something that I don't want to feel, that is uncomfortable, that is scary, but can I really just open up to it, allow it to be here, trust that this is what I need to be feeling right now. Trust that the body can handle this. Your body is as much as, you know, we might start to doubt our body because of all the intense symptoms we struggle with. Trust that your body is healthy, and that it's kind of dealing with a lot of shit, and we're kind of revving it up with the mind. So just trust that it's okay. You can just feel what's here, and trust that what you are feeling right now is exactly what you need to feel. And it can be so difficult. So, if this kind of really is tough for you to do, that's absolutely okay. It can take a while before we really start to realize that this is the case, that we can trust life, how experiences, we can trust exactly how moment-to-moment experience is unfolding. We can trust that whatever arises is absolutely okay, and that the mind will doubt, and we just need to start to see doubt as doubt and give it some space for itself. But yeah, trust is powerful because it really kind of stops that mechanism of mind that can be driving this whole thing. Um, and often people will kind of hear what I'm saying and doubt and fear. That's not what's causing my physical symptoms. Um, and sure, but it's kind of what's at the root of it. And then there's all the stuff in the way that it impacts the nervous system, and then the way the nervous system impacts the physical functioning of the body and all of that. What I'm really interested in talking about is let's get to the root of this. Let's not focus on symptom by symptom by symptom, on taking this or that. For some people, if a supplement or medication is helpful for you, that's great. Like I don't say much on that because I'm not a doctor and I'm not able to recommend any of that to anybody. And if I share from my own direct experience, that was just a distraction for me, trying to run away from trying to look for a quick fix, I suppose, and it's completely understandable. So it's where everyone's going to start because you don't know any way else. You don't know that that's not going to work. But yeah, let's rather get to the root because that's what's really going on here. Is this doubt and this fear and this emotional repression and this identification with the mind and identification with the doubt. If we can really get to the root of that, then this can go way beyond just recovering from the symptoms. This can go way beyond that. So take this opportunity. This is an opportunity to get to the root of your suffering. And sometimes we need some really acute, intense suffering to put us on this path. To realize that we have to dig deep, and sometimes we have no choice, and it can feel really difficult when we're in that place, but it can be such a gift, because then we have no choice but to really get to the root of this problem of suffering in whatever form it's coming out for us. And yeah, it will go way beyond recovery and symptoms and whatever the smaller problems feel like, we can really get to the root. So I suppose that's more what I like to share here, because that's kind of the path that my journey took. And yeah, it's a opportunity that's there for everybody. If you're willing to dig in, you really can take this way beyond recovery. And so yeah, anyways, probably gonna hop off here soon. It is now, yeah, it's 2:45 here. It's getting pretty late. Maybe, I mean, it's still incredibly hot. It's like 30 degrees here still. And there's no fans here where I'm staying. Yeah, I'll maybe just let's do like 5 or 10 minutes of just sitting. So I don't even know who's still watching. It says there's 2 people on my side, and often one is my laptop, or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, for anybody who watches the replay, let's not just take a few moments to just sit with whatever is here. Just open up to your current experience is exactly right. And just feel into it. Just let go of trying to pick and choose an experience. Let go of trying to create the right experience. let go of trying to have more of this experience and less of that experience, and just acknowledge exactly your present experience as it is all that you need right now. You can just sit and feel what is here, and just notice whatever comes up. And give it some space. And just keep letting go of any need to control or fix or manage. We're giving all of that a break right now. That's what we're here for, is just to settle into the stillness, and there's no need for any managing, fixing, controlling. Just being here is more than enough. Just taking this time to sit and feel and acknowledge is more than enough. Notice if there's doubt. That's just a thought. What's here if there's no problem to solve? We're not looking for an answer intellectually. We're just kind of, what if I don't need the problem solver? Then it's just what's happening. And if there's more thoughts, there's more thoughts. But what if I don't need to solve a problem? And there's no right or wrong here. There's no that must lead to this experience. What if I don't need to have any experience other than this? And just stop and just feel and sit. And just be aware if you were getting caught up in, is it this, is it that, getting caught up in some thoughts. It's okay. But as soon as we kind of just acknowledge that whatever's here is okay, then sometimes that will calm down a bit. And that we're no longer trying to get this right. And if we are still trying to get this right, that's fine. That's just what's happening. So just allow yourself to have this period of time where there's nothing you need to change. Nothing you need to do. There's no perfect technique here, other than just your present experience. And as you're doing this, we can often relax the body. We're no longer trying to fight and make this happen or that happen. You can just kind of, if I just let go a little bit more, just relax everything on its own. You don't need to make anything happen, but just invite that letting go. What if I don't judge myself, my thoughts, my experience in any way? Don't need to judge. Just let go a little. What if I don't grab on and believe the thoughts that I'm not doing this right, I need to do this, I need to do that, later I need to do this? What if I don't grab onto that? Just, that's a thought. Don't need to do anything about it. We can give ourselves this space throughout the day. Give yourself a break to just sit, just allow. Just trust your experience. Okay, that's that for tonight. Just a quick one. And I will see everybody again sometime. All the best, everyone. Thanks for anybody that showed up. Hope it was helpful. Good luck.